Welcome to Spam Filter for Your Brain, bite-sized ponderings on how our thoughts influence our behaviour and our lives, and because we're all connected, how our thoughts impact the world. I'm here to help people reconnect with their bodies and declutter their brains. And I don't believe that we should just magically know how our emotions and our thoughts impact our lives if no one ever teaches us. So let's learn this stuff together. Often on these podcasts, I give you examples as to how this stuff could work in theory and how you can apply big lessons to your own life and to manage your own brain. And I've had quite a difficult week this week, and I think it might be useful for you to have an example as to how I use this stuff in my own life for the things that go on for me, because these ideas all sound very good. And like maybe if you do all of the things that you're going to have everything sorted. And actually, the reason why I do this work, the reason I think any of us do this work, is not so that we can have this idealized, sanitized life where nothing ever bothers us and nothing ever goes wrong. But when life throws the lifey stuff at us, that we have tools that are useful for us to be able to recognize what's going on, process it, and deal with it in a way that enables us to flow through it rather than to repeat old patterns that might not have served us in the past. Now, in a very delicate and carefully phrased way, what I will set the scenario is I have had a couple of people who I care about deeply do things that disregarded my safety and disregarded my well-being over the weekend. Two separate people, two completely separate incidents, and both of them together left me feeling extremely hurt. And I'm trying to be very careful with my wording for most of my life. And I think that most people who would look at a scenario like this might go, those people hurt me. And I don't believe that those people hurt me. I believe that my thoughts about what my expectations are of people that I have in my life and the standards that I want to welcome into my life, and those people not treating me with that level of respect, that's the thing that has hurt me. The fact that these people have not done the things that I thought were basic common decency. The fact that they haven't done that is the thing that is causing me suffering. Now, for most of my life, I would have sat there and gone, they shouldn't have done this, they shouldn't have done that. How could they do this to me? I can't believe this is happening. Or the flip side of that, I deserve this. I can't believe that this is happening again. I must be so awful. This keeps showing up in my life. And that was definitely the sort of vein and the theme that I operated most of my adult life in. And with the tools now, I am able to feel a lot of extremely big emotions and allow me to process them, work through them, and then decide who I want to be at the other side, rather than for most other times in my life where I have done things that I hoped would make the person change their behavior so I could feel okay. And most of the time, that behavior change that I was hoping for was if I could make myself smaller or nicer or more palatable, or if I could do the thing that would make them like me enough, then I would get some sort of validation, or they wouldn't do the things that they have the autonomy and choices to do, and I would be okay. And basically, that leads back to the fact that I would be safe. So in this scenario, for example, I decided to and chose to allow myself to feel anger. And that is because I have tools and resources that allow me to be able to explore what that feels like in my body in a safe way without me feeling like I'm out of control. Now, for most of my life, I have felt like anger is something to be avoided. It is unattractive. Think about how vile that is as a concept, that we must be attractive at all times. It was unbecoming. And because I wasn't familiar with it, and because it's something that I was told that I would be rejected for, anger is something which was unsafe. Now I have tools to be able to help me manage and navigate and explore what anger might feels like to me. When it comes up and it bubbles up in the kind of levels that it did the other day, I use it as a learning ground. Like, I don't know this emotion very well with familiarity. What can I do to explore this in a way that feels like it is useful for me, not reactive at somebody or reactive trying to manipulate a situation so that I can feel something different? What is it like if I just sit in anger? What is it like if I allow this feeling in my body and don't try and escape from it or buffer away from it or numb it out with anything? What does anger feel like for me? How long does it hang around for when I allow myself to feel that fury and rage and fire rather than trying to get it out of my system or deny that it's there or judge myself for having it? And there are a few practices I did that involve a lot of writing things. And there are some other somatic practices that I walk people through, exercises that we have as lessons in self-care school, and some really good uses of different ways of noticing my own language towards myself. I used it as a real learning fertile ground, and I let myself just feel. And it was astounding how quickly things pass when I allow them to flow through my body. When I use the practices that allow me to be with an emotion rather than to reject it and therefore reject myself. I'm not pouring cement all over what is going wrong here by telling myself I shouldn't be feeling the way that I am about it. I look at what's going on for me and the responses that I'm having and go, okay, this is a human reaction to some, some hurtful stuff going on here. And the way that I'm able to do that mostly is by knowing that the actions that these other people have taken, my mind has processed as these people have endangered me and therefore I'm not safe. And your brain reads danger rejection as the same as death. My brain thought I was going to die. My whole nervous system was having the same responses as it would have done if I was running away from a woolly mammoth. I really absolutely wanted to get away from there. I wanted to buffer with everything that I could possibly think of, wanted to escape my emotions, and I wanted to tell the people how terrible it was for them to treat me like that, and also probably that I deserved it and I'm terribly sorry. All of these things clashed together and I watched them. I watched them and I processed them and I went, I've tried all of those things before and I've never really liked the results that they've got me. So what else can be true? And by allowing that to happen, it allows me to stay with myself. It allows me to stay with my integrity. It allows me to stay in my body. And what that allows for me is that it passes quicker and that I'm able to decide who I want to be in response to things. And it gives me a level of agency and control about how I want to navigate this from me being in center with myself, for me being the person that I want to be, rather than trying to tell that person who they should be. And my life experience is that the more that I stay with who I want to be and how I can respond to things, rather than telling people that they should be a different way, the more control I have over my life, the more agency that I have over my life, the more loving I can choose to be for the version of me that is both hurting, both experiencing the fullness of life and all of the things, and also the me in the future who just noticed that she set a boundary, noticed that she didn't tolerate that kind of behavior anymore, noticed that she makes different choices about the relationships that she has with people around her, and noticed that she can choose to have the reactions rather than waiting for someone else to make those decisions for her about the level of safety that she has around her. So I hope that that gives you some idea of a process as to how you can work this stuff through and how it can pan out to a place of feeling like this experience has led me to knowing I have some information about some people that I can now choose whether I have them or don't have them around me. And that is done from a place of love and care for myself rather than judgment and resentment and pain for who they are and what they've done. It's not about them, it's about me, what I want in my life, and how I want myself to be treated. And most importantly, how I want myself to be treated by me. And how I want myself to be treated by me is someone who is loving and caring and resourced so that I have more to go around for more people. There are a hell of a lot of people that I love in my life, and I want me to be as resourced as possible so that I am able to connect with, hold space, and be silly with them in all of the ways that I wish and know how to for as long as I'm on this planet. And that's harder to do when I'm holding myself all pent up in rage, aggression, and denial of my actual emotions, hoping that other people are going to change. When I deny myself agency over my own feelings, the truth is that I'm not showing up for me in my own life. And I'm too old for that shit. I hope that you are too. And if you'd like some resources to learn some of the things that help me navigate this big old life of ours, I would love to support you. Maybe we could do a one-to-one coaching session. There is a link in the show notes here to book in a free call if that would be useful for you. And also just to know that there is an amazing hub and community inside Self-Care School where we witness and learn so much from each other. And one of the most beautiful things about learning in community, and perhaps one of the most useful things about you listening to this podcast, is that hearing other people working through and going through their stuff makes you feel less alone, makes you feel less like you're the problem or less like you're getting things wrong. I don't think we're getting it wrong, but no one taught us this stuff, so perhaps we could learn it together. If you'd like to be inside Self-Care School, I'd love to see you there. There's lots of things in the show notes and the links, and I'll speak to you next week. In love and rage. I'll speak to you next week. If you've been enjoying what you're hearing on the podcast, you will love Self-Care School. Self-Care School is longer versions of this, more in-depth and more personalised. We have a whole hub of courses from body image to boundaries, perfectionism, time management, and a whole range of other topics. You name it, there's probably a course on it. But most importantly, we also have a weekly group coaching call where you get to apply this stuff to your everyday life and get support to try and untangle your own story from some of the emotions that you might not be enjoying in your life. If you would like to learn how to apply this work to your specific situation and to be building a life of your dreams, I would love to see you inside. Do pop over to selfcareschool.co.uk.